or something like that. Can I articulate it? I'm not quite sure, but it's just this idea of getting still and being able to see your mind going and like doing all these crazy things. I don't think you can do it as well if you're running or you're cycling or you're swimming or something like that.
Yes.
Maybe I'm not gonna get rid of the chicken as the focus right now, but let's start crowding it out a little bit, you know, and then things just flow, and it's just like okay, and then now, like your palate changes, you're like I don't even want this anymore, like it's just this crazy transformation.
Neutral,
right? And just be neutral. Like this is my body doing what I asked it to do. It's like my muscles are working, like blood's flowing, and all this crazy stuff's happening, but it's neutral. But then I think the next step is to realize, hey, all my thoughts are neutral too.
That was Alex Buell, and we're back this week to conclude our conversation. I hope you enjoyed part 1. I mean, do you agree? This guy is so insightful, well-spoken, and on his way to doing great things in this world. If you're inspired, no matter what your age is, it's important to remember that it's never too late to achieve greatness in this life. We hear about it all the time, people changing their careers in later years, achieving a long envisioned athletic goal, or finding love. It's never too late to start our life or day over. It's a mindset. It's realizing that you have a choice, and it's being able to better understand the absolute craziness of the mind. And Alex and I talk about this in part 2. Plus, Alex shares his take on why physical activity may not be meditation, and why a sitting practice is key to preventing the world from falling down around him when life goes awry. He recounts an athletic debacle born from an over-insistence to stick to his ways, learning that even mindfulness and clean plant-based eating can backfire if we're not willing to be flexible. Along those lines, Alex addresses the importance of being open around changing behavior patterns, and that when it all boils down to it, our health and happiness is truly up to us. As a physician, he inspires to guide, not demand from his patients, so that they can make long-lasting lifestyle choices that will be for the good of all. Before we jump into my chat with Alex, I want to remind you to get to iTunes and leave us a review. It helps so much, and if this podcast is helping you with your health, your headspace, or just a friendly companion for your daily commute, please consider giving back by leaving a review for us. Plus, you're going to be entered to win a free pair of UFOS Recovery Sandals. Check out the show notes for this episode for all the details. These shoes are the bomb, comfy, corrective, and complimentary, as they have different styles and colors to choose from. You will not want to take these bad boys off. In fact, I guarantee you will forget, because they are so comfortable, it's like you're not even wearing shoes. Get a preview at ufos.com on your way to iTunes. Thanks so much for your support, and without further delay, I give you part 2 of my chat with Alex Buell. How are you feeling about it now? Are you feeling like you're gonna jump ship? Or you feel like you're gonna go all in?
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if we said it, but I teach yoga. We teach at the same studios, and I have such a passion for yoga, and I love teaching. It's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not work. Mm-hmm. It's just me being up there, and like yoga has changed my life so much, and then I get up there and I can just share. I don't know, it just feels so right. So I was like, oh my god, like that. I know I love yoga and I love teaching.
Yeah.
And then I had med school. I'm like I commend anyone that wants to go to med school and go down the path, because it requires you to be so like, there's almost like nothing tangible in the goal. Like it's not like you're training for a race in 6 months or something, and like you get to the race and like, all right, here's all the work and now I'm racing or something like that. Or it's like you have to go through all these steps and then just to start.
Yeah.
And then and then you don't even know, like there's just so much, again, that unknown thing. There's so much unknown. Like I don't, like, people are like, you have to be like really sure if you want to go to school, or like you have to like, this is what you're going to get into, and you have to make a decision based off all this stuff. But I'm like, it's so hard to do that because I'm not experiencing in the job world. Like I could shadow, I worked in an emergency room and I was with doctors and PAs and I saw how things work, but it's still not actually being there. So that was like that is like a huge like leap of faith type of thing. Like,
and it's like a huge leap of faith and moving into like a one pointed focus, like where discipline is going to take on a whole new level. Okay. Now I'm like, forget the medical school. Just do the Colin Campbell plant-based nutrition.
Right. Just do that, the training.
No, but I mean, you can be a game changer. You're going to be a game changer no matter what, because of what you're passionate about, because this health and wellness it seems to me that's your path.
Yeah.
So you just need to keep getting quiet.
Right.
Keep getting quiet, and the answers are going to come. And losing the attachment to, I said I was going to do this, now I have to.
Totally. Yeah.
That's such a hard thing.
It's like really good, but hard practice.
To
do. But yeah, so that's what was kind of going through my mind. I come home and I had this. I talked to Renee, one of the owners of Rhode Island Power Yoga, and we had this like a 2-hour conversation after class about what I was going through, and talking to her, and like she has an awesome perspective on teaching yoga and being able to. For me, she's just so good at taking all the spiritual ideas and then making it real. Like I'm like right awesome. Here, like all right, like yeah, like I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, but like I'm in the body right now. Like
right,
I'm still
like
here.
I gotta work with this body. Yeah.
Right. So we had a great talk, and essentially what we kind of came to, and she kind of made me realize, is that my yoga is always gonna be there. Like I love teaching yoga, and I'm gonna do it. And just because I go to school, my decision is I'm going, by the way. Like I am going to go. But just because I make that decision doesn't mean, oh, now yoga's gone. Like,
right.
like I'm digging a grave in the backyard and I'm burying it. And I'm never going to be able to do it again. And that's not going to happen. And that was kind of part of like, it's almost like this, not like maybe a fatalistic like decision. It's like my mind's like,
this
all
like
right.
all or nothing. Like, okay, if you take plan A, then you're not going to have plan B anymore.
Right.
But you can hit that one that says all of the above.
Right.
Right. and that the scales just start to tilt a little bit, and that's the balance of life.
Exactly.
Keep the things that you're passionate about and the things that you love. Like don't every day, keep creating momentum about those. I was talking to somebody yesterday, like even if it's a thought, like this person was saying, well, I don't know what I love. I'm like, well, just keep looking for that. Right. Every single day, keep looking notice everything that you're doing and what is it that you love. And then when you figure that out, it's not jumping overboard all into it at once, but every day doing something about that thing that you love, whether that's just a thought. Right. So even if you're just kind of like journaling about yoga, like a day that or a 5-minute practice or a 10-minute practice, like, between your studies, like you're still keeping the yoga, or teaching one class a week, or, teaching some of your stressed out classmates,
right.
And just being in service in that way. And now introducing this amazing healing practice to other doctors in the making, like you don't have to wait to get out of school to start changing the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Totally. I can do it right now.
Yeah.
In it. And I can embody all of the yoga. I can literally live my yoga.
Never ever will there be a time where we have anything more than right now.
Right. That's
my understanding.
I share the same understanding.
Right. So this worry of what's going to happen or whatever, I mean, I think it's the true essence of yoga to just live with just working with what you've got right now, and not trying to run away from it, and just, the conflicted feelings that you've had, and just getting quiet. We talk about that a lot, just getting quiet and getting the space. Like you had talked about that like the unknown having so much openness to it.
Right. Yeah. And that space, that idea of space, I've been working with it lately, and I also another thing, getting quiet, and for me, like getting still, like honestly, just sitting and making my body still. And when I do that, it's so powerful. It's just like my mind. I mean, I'll resist it, and then like the merry-go-round of thoughts will go. But then you just get this clarity that's just like, oh wow, okay, I'm here right now. It's like I'm in this room. We're talking to into these microphones, and that's what's going on right now.
That's what's going on right now. Exactly. And when you get still too, like you open, like I had this really cool vision in my meditation before you came over, and thing about it is like once you realize you're having this amazing vision or whatever, then you've lost it. Like, right? And then you're like, oh no, I want it back. I want it back. And you're like, oh, it's like the moment you realize that you're present, or the moment you realize you're actually meditating, you're not meditating anymore.
Right.
It's such a bummer.
Right.
But I had this just this like vision in my meditation today of us. We were on the highway, and it was like looking at it from my eyes, and it was my car, and I was sitting in the passenger seat, and we were on the highway, and there was these big green trees and a blue sky, and it just felt really peaceful and very content. And so coming from a day where I've been feeling like from the moment I woke up, just feeling like this nagging fear and doubt about everything. And then just constantly being at warfare today, all day, coming back to the moment, coming back to the moment, coming back to the moment, coming back to the moment. It's just like the ego is hassling me all day long. And to sit in that meditation and get still and have that quick little I don't even know how long it was. It felt like forever. I bet it was a second. And just to get a little glimpse of, possibly what's going to be happening in the contentment of that.
Yeah.
It was such a simple vision, but it was like, yeah, it's all okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's all okay. Yeah. So you are an athlete as well, and you just said something about getting still and how that's so important. So a lot of times I hear from people that, running's my meditation, or I go out on my bike and that's like my meditation, which is just the ego's excuse not to meditate, right? Because it's going to do everything possible not to get you to sit still. Everything.
Like when you're in that witness state, it's like, wow, like that is actually a pretty good reason not to, I'm like, it's like,
super convincing.
Like so convincing. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe that I came up with that.
Like the best lawyer in the world.
The best lawyer.
Constantly convincing you not to be present, constantly convincing you to separate yourself from other people, constantly convincing you not to meditate. When it's like, meditation's it, man. It's it. Right? Like people want to know, like, what's the secret? Just sit down.
Just sit.
It's not that difficult. I mean, it is. It's super difficult, actually. But so do you have a perspective on that, or has anybody ever said that to you? Because you meditate, you have a practice.
Yeah.
So you meditate. You're an athlete, and I think we can both agree that going out for a run, like that can definitely take your mind off of things. But can you articulate like a difference between a sitting practice and going out for a run, or why that might not be a meditation to go out and run? Sure.
Yeah, totally. It's a great point. And I've had that thought myself when I was in college. I running was just, I loved it. It was just so great to just get out there, run. And I mean, I felt unbelievable. But so first off, like my working definition essentially of meditation is just like a way to break the constant thought cycle. It's like we have this like thought, our habitual thinking every single day. You wake up and it's always going. And then at least what meditation is, at least my understanding is like it's a way to just break that train. And like we do that by breathing. We do that by like a sensation, like going into our body or something like that. And I think meditation has a ton of different forms. But there's something about the sitting meditation that in my mind is different than say like a run or a bike or something like that. Can I articulate it? I'm not quite sure, but it's just this idea of getting still and being able to see your mind going and like doing all these crazy things. I don't think you can do it as well if you're running or you're cycling or you're swimming or something like that. And also like a big like red flag, like beeping warning for me is like with my running, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't a good meditation. Like I'm meditating like there's times when I feel like expansive and like my thought train does stop for a little bit and I'm just like on a trail or whatever. But if I were to stop running, like all of a sudden I just running, like injury is a really good example.
Injury is a great example.
So good. And I could talk about that because I injured myself like a year and a half ago and I went through this. But if you were to take running away, would your world come crashing down? Would you
still have that?
Would you still
have that meditation?
Would you still? And I want to not like 9 out of 10, 99% maybe. I would say no. It's like there is an attachment to the running. There is an attachment to the biking. There's an attachment to all these different things, which isn't really a meditation then because you're attached to it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I think that we did a whole episode on injury and mindfulness, and BJ talks about the injury that he had a couple years ago where he really injured his back and realized that he like was literally defining his existence through triathlon. I mean, I've never seen him. He was so low.
Yeah.
He was so low. And I just let him be there and just pray and meditated my face off and just literally prayed that he would find the strength to crawl out, and prayed that was his path, that he was going to climb back up.
Right.
And he did in such an amazing way. And now he's more dedicated than ever to his meditation. And, but that attachment to, and we kind of talked about it, like the attachment to the plan, the attachment to the furniture, but the attachment to who we think we are in this world and the running. And I think injuries are some of the greatest gifts because when they're taken away, you get a really good look at what you are without that. And I think that in a sense, there's a similarity there with injury in meditation, because when you sit in a still practice, you get a really good look at what's going on.
You get a really good look.
You get a really good, like if you've been hiding something from yourself, there's going to be no more hiding. Like you're going to see it, and it's going to be uncomfortable.
Right, and you can, and to go back to like the running or the biking, that you can get away from whatever you're hiding. Like you can hide from it in that. Like running, you feel so, I mean, there's so much going on in your body, like so much, like you're releasing endorphins, you're like you're going to relax your body and you're going to feel amazing, but which is amazing and good.
Right. We love right. Clearly.
It's great, but you're not necessarily facing what you need to face.
No, and I had a really cool experience. So it's so cool to watch BJ coach now, which is like his passion. He's such an amazing coach. And because he's bringing in this yogi piece, and he's really he's got some athletes that are attached to like their numbers and their hardware and their technology and all of that, which is fine. Like that's fine that you've got all that stuff, but then he'll have them do workouts just on feel, right? Because you can't, like, what happened? I mean, because he's had he's gone out and this guy's going for Kona, right? And he's goes out and does an Ironman, and like his bike computer doesn't work, and his heart, like I think it was like the last one, like his heart rate monitor died, and he was like, if I was attached to those things, that would have ruined my day. But he was fine. He was like, I know this because I go on feel so much that I know this. So he has them do that. And he often gets from his athletes that taking rest days are really tough. That taper is really, really tough. And this has not been something that's been tough for me. Like, I love taper. I love recovery. I really do. I love it all. I love the discipline. I was actually just saying I'm taking a year off from racing this year. I just want to get back in the gym. But I said to BJ the other day, like, I'm really missing like that 5-hour ride, like on a hot day, and just like, and going out for a hard run after. Like, I'm missing that. But that's okay, because that's going to come with time. But so I had this experience. So right now what I'm doing is I'm doing really short workouts. I'm still swimming, biking, running. I'm in the gym 3 times a week, but I'm going for like strength and speed. So I was having a day, it was probably about a month ago, where I was feeling similar to today, like just feeling doubt. I had spent some time with some folks that were really projecting a lot of fear about what we're doing. And so what happens when you're around that vibration, it leaves, the way my teacher describes it to me is that it leaves an impression on you. And then you basically you're like a garbage can, like you have to deal with it now. And so I was kind of dealing with it the next day because it got in me. And I had to do this run, and I had to do 8 repeats up a hill, like a minute, super hard. And then walk back down. So it was a quick half-hour run. So I went out, just carrying the weight of this negativity from these interactions that I had. And I did the first minute, and I ran hard, and then I stopped and I walked back down, and then it was like there again. And then I did it again and went hard up for a minute, and then walked back down, and then it was there again. And I was realizing that it wasn't there when I was running really hard up the hill. But it came back as soon as I stopped and walked in. Then I had to deal with it. Right. So I'm like nullifying. And like I came back and I said to BJ, I'm like, I get it. Like, I get it. I get what these athletes are saying. Like, because when you're in it and you're like, I was doing a hard effort, and I'm not saying it's just hard efforts, but for me, that experience was like, I experienced what I've heard for so long, that going out there and running can be a meditation because it clears your head. But the fact was, it's like I had no other choice but to focus on like that breath or that foot strike, because I was running so hard up the hill. Like, it took everything away.
Right.
It took everything away, but not in the sense where I dealt with it.
Right.
It just took it away because the endorphins were coming in and my body was feeling strong. But as soon as I stopped and walked back down the hill, it all dumped back in. And so it was such a cool experience. And because for no other reason than I feel like I have more compassion now, that it's not just just take the day off. What's the problem? Because that's not helpful. And one of the things that I love about the way we are trained in yoga, that, Philip and Renee, you had mentioned Renee before, and Stacy, that they hammer home like the how and the why and all of that stuff. And so like, I get it. I understand now, and I understand why it happens. And I understand why a sitting practice is so important, because you can go out and run and feel like you're in a meditative state. And maybe that is a moving meditation. I'm not going to argue with that. But there's nothing that is more productive than that sitting meditation, because that's where you're going to feel it all. And that's your opportunity to heal it. Right.
Everything else is just like pushing it away for another time.
Yeah, pushing it away for another time. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. I did that for about 30, 8 years or something like that. But yeah, I think it's really important. And as an athlete, can you speak to like, how maybe the importance or not important, I don't know, of meditation to athletics, like as far as like your headspace in an injury or your headspace in a race?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, so I think what meditation really does for me is it's like, I guess you could say it grounds. Like, I'm grounded, like when I sit, or I'm grounded in something that's like when you're just present, sitting, breathing, then you're like, okay, there's like so much, there's space here. Like my mind isn't going crazy. Like I don't have like, or it is, but I'm able to see all these goals, and I'm able to see all these aspirations that I have. And instead of latching onto them and making my identity this goal or my identity this aspiration, I'm able to see like, okay, wait, this is real. Like I want these things, but is it me? No. It's not me. It's not Alex. Well, it is the personality. We could argue that it is like Alex Buell, who I call Alex Buell, the voice inside of my head. Like
right.
That is me, I guess. But my meditation allows me to say, okay, wait, no, there's something. I'm bigger than that little voice. There's a space. We call it the higher self or God. And there's so many different words, and it's all leading to the same idea. So with that grounding, when I go out, currently I'm still injured. Like my knee is still injured. I can't run. I can bike. I can swim. I can do my yoga practice. But with the grounding, you go out and you do a workout, and if I get injured in the workout or I'm not going as hard as I want or whatever, it's not what the expectation that I want. It's the whole world doesn't come crashing down.
Right.
I'm not like going home and then being like an upset mess, or like the whole day just becomes like murky and like, no, it's like, wait, like the goal isn't necessarily to race an Ironman, like the ultimate goal. Like maybe right now in this life, in the present moment, that's like I want to go and train or something like that.
Yeah.
But with the grounding practice, you can go through the speed bumps in life, because we all have them. Like it's never going to be perfect every single second. And you go through and you're like, wait, okay, this isn't the end of the world.
Right. And I think it goes back to that whole planning, like that
right.
We have this plan, and I think that's where athletes get really messed up and like just really get into a mess with themselves, is like, but I'm planning to do this race in 5 weeks and I'm injured. And it's like, okay, you're planning to do that race, but you might not do that race. And it's this attachment to it.
Last year, I was training for Patriot Half Ironman in Massachusetts. I hadn't done it. So my little, like, really quick background, I raced, I was on the cycling team in college, so I raced all 4 years there. So my primary focus was biking. I did sprint triathlons like here and there in the summer. But then I graduated, so I wasn't on a team anymore for biking. I was working full-time job, but I also had so much time where I could actually train for Half Ironman. So I was like, sign up, I'm doing it, I'm ready.
Yeah, like it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Like Here we go. So I'm, I have like, I like make a training plan by myself. I just really like, just as long as I had like if I know for my own like training, if I don't like write down like a specific like training plan for a day, and I just go out for a ride, I'm like, I'm not gonna get where I want to go. I'm not gonna really like improve. I'm not necessarily gonna. I need some type of structure, some type of plan.
Yeah, I like to just look at. That's what I've always had a coach, because I just like to look at it and not have to think. I just do it.
Yeah.
Just look at it and do it.
Yeah. So anyway, so I have a plan. I'm like, it's in the winter. It was in the winter, so I was running on a treadmill, and I was messing with my running form, because my run is like definitely my hardest, the hardest out of the three. But yeah, so I was messing with my form. I was feeling really good. Like I was running fast on the treadmill. Like in retrospect, like I came in way too hot. Like I was going, like I was feeling good, and then I just amped it up like too fast. Anyways, I'm on this treadmill, and I do something, and I just like this crazy pain in my right knee, and I was like, uh-oh. This isn't good. Like this is not good. So I stopped, and I'm like walking around for like a week, and like I was limping, like barely walk. I end up going to doctors, and I have like IT band tendonitis, like really bad IT band tendonitis in my right leg. And now that I like really, really like focus on like my IT bands on both my legs are just so damn tight. So that was
and you were a cyclist.
Yeah. So
cyclists, the whole thing with cyclists is that you never get that full extension of your leg. Cyclists are so prone to IT band problems, because you never get that full extension. So because you constantly have a bend in your knee and you're going hard, you're constantly shortening that band, which is like thick, super strong collagenous material.
Right.
Like that's and once that gets super tight, and once you start getting inflammation in there, it's very
so hard to get. I still have it to this day, and that's another topic of conversation.
That's right.
But
we'll get you running again. I'll do an Ironman with you someday.
All right.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Keep the dream alive.
But yeah, so like I couldn't run. It was like I would go out after the initial inflammation went down. I'd go out for a run and I'd get to like a 1 mile mark and. Like my leg was just like, no, you, as much as you want to run, you cannot do it. Like excruciating pain. Like, so I just ended up doing the swim and the bike and the Ironman, or the half Ironman. But I get there on race day and I'm already like getting going, and I get in the water and do the swim, and I probably drank like so much of that lake water or whatever. I don't know if it was a lake or something, but I drank so much of the lake water, and I get out and I'm on my bike, and all I have, like, this is like pretty, like I'm like slightly new to plant-based, like in terms of a training and like how I ride my bike and what I fuel myself with on my bike and running and whatnot. So I'm kind of new to this whole plant-based idea. And all I have with me is a water bottle with water and dates. Because I'm like, I can just eat my dates and it's Whole Foods and I don't need anything else. I'm fine. Meanwhile, I've gone on at that point, I'd gone on like 2 long rides where I just ate dates and I was fine, but I was like,
yeah, it's
easy
different.
Now. It's different. It's like this, right? It's weird. So,
and like 2 long rides practicing nutrition is not, that's one thing BJ like hammers home with his athletes, especially like first timers. He's like, you have got to be practicing your nutrition.
Yeah.
You're not practicing your nutrition. Like you got to train your gut, right? Like
right.
It's a different story on race day. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Not, believe me, I had no idea what was about to happen. So it's like, so it's a 2-lap course, and it's like 26 miles roughly each lap. And I go around the first lap, and then like as soon as I start the second lap, both my legs cramp up. I swear to God, every muscle from my waist down just seizes.
Ooh.
And it's like, I'm like thinking to myself, whoa. Like,
you're like, sugar's not enough here.
No, this isn't enough. Like there's something wrong here. And I was like, and I had like this, I think this is like a typical spiritual idea, or like when you get into the spiritual realm of like presence and all this stuff, you're like, oh, I can just be present to this pain and I'm going to keep riding through it. And then all of a sudden I'm going to be a Olympic marathoner or like Tour de France cyclist, and you're like,
this is where great things happen.
This is where great things happen. Just keep going and be present to what's going on right now, and you'll work through it. But what I didn't realize was right now my body was just so tapped. Like I'm seizing on my bike. Like I could barely do a pedal stroke. People are like passing me by, and I'm like, this isn't looking good. Like this present thing isn't working. Like, come on, damn it, meditation. What's going on? And then I get to a feed station where they have water, flat Coke, and Gatorade. And still, even though I'm going like 15 miles an hour on my bike, like totally just gone. And I still was like, I'm not going to drink that flat Coke, and I'm not going to drink that Gatorade. Like that's not part of the plant-based diet. Like I can't do it. And I grabbed the water, and I still like, I finished like the bike, and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, I think you thought you were like doing the whole present moment thing, but maybe you weren't, because you weren't taking, like, it was different from the fish story you told earlier.
It's totally different from the fish story. I was totally resisting everything. I was like, I need to, which is again, we're just, like, to bring it back to the like plant-based eating. It's like, and actually bring it back to the fish story. Sometimes, in this moment, like you have, like I should have drank the Coke.
Right. Oh, for sure you should.
Or I should have drank the Gatorade.
Yeah.
Like,
oh no, for sure. Like, probably both.
And probably both. Right? I probably should have stopped.
If you weren't doing the run, you could have done the Coke, but definitely at least the Gatorade. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's it's like when we have when we get into these rules, And this is why I don't necessarily throw around the word vegan a lot, because I feel like vegan's got it's got a lot that goes along with it. It does. And believe me, like, I am very much an advocate for animals. Absolutely. I on a regular basis feel a lot of pain and suffering of what is happening with the animals in the world, really, because it's happening all over the place, but especially here in America. So make no mistake, like, very, very passionate about that. And that's what happens when you become compassionate, when you start to lift the veil and you start to internalize, is that you feel the pain, and it sucks. It's so heavy. But that's why we really use this idea of being plant-based, because I feel like it's inclusive and not exclusive, right? It's like, you look at your plate, the foundation of your diet is plants, and watch these like hard rules and lines, I mean, I'm pretty much a devout, plant-based person, but if I needed to, I would.
Right.
And I would say a blessing, and, I would do what I would have to do. But just watching the rules in everything that we do. And that goes back to like the roles of like, okay, I'm going to like go to medical school, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Like, watch all these hard lines, because they limit us.
Yeah,
they put us in a cage.
Such a box. It's like, oh, I need to fit into this little this image. That
watch like everything in your house. Like, I equate it to like, if we are sitting in the basket of an air balloon, like, what is it that's tethering that basket to the ground?
That's a really good metaphor. I like that a lot.
And everything that you can do, like, detach. That doesn't mean that you can't have goals. It doesn't mean that you can't have beautiful art. It doesn't mean that you can't have beautiful clothes. Of course you can have those things. It's the attachment that pulls you down, that limits you, that puts you in that cage, like, and sticks you in that box. And for me, I couldn't breathe in there anymore. I got to a point where there was just no room for breath. So there had to be a change. And I mean, that was yoga for me.
Yeah. I think you're touching on a really cool point, a really interesting point, especially in terms of plant-based eating, where like what I get all the time is like, I want to go to med school, and I want to be this, like, I mean, lack of a better way to put this, conduit of information for people, and saying like, hey, this is the best thing that you, like, scientifically proven, like, plants, like, if you focus your diet on plants, your health is going to, like, skyrocket. It's going to change.
It's not going to go down.
It's not going to go down. Correct.
No.
It's not going to go down. There's a really, really good possibility that it's going to go up. But what people always tell me is like, you're dealing with something that's, like, definitely on the realm of, like, religion and politics and all these, like, hot button issues for people. It's so like, food is just like, it's like, oh yeah, like, it's like the entire world just, like, it's so emotional, like you're saying. It's like
people get crazy about their food,
right.
And again, it's like I'm paleo, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, oh my God,
yeah,
just look at what's being provided by the earth,
right? And then but my answer to that is, we all, in our life, we're all going to come to a tipping point, or a point where enough is enough. And health is a big, easy one to think about. Like, you go to the doctor and he's like, he or she is like, you need to go on this medication, you need to do that, you need to stop whatever. And people don't like to hear that. It's like, I'm not stopping anything. I'm not giving up my wine.
Right.
I'm not giving up my ice cream or whatever it is. But eventually, and this is all behavior change. It's all the human condition. It's all how we deal with the person upstairs, in our head. And essentially, everyone is going to reach a point in this life and the next life, and if we believe in that or whatever, and when you reach that point, then everything just opens up, and you're more open to all right, maybe I will start eating a little bit more plants.
Yes.
Maybe I'm not gonna get rid of the chicken as the focus right now, but let's start crowding it out a little bit, and then things just flow, and it's just like, okay, and then now, like, your palate changes, you're like, I don't even want this anymore. Like, it's just this crazy transformation that's extremely personal. And my job, hopefully, as a physician, isn't going to be like demanding that you need to eat your plants. Like, this is what you need to do. Just like this, just lay it out for everyone and be like, here's what we know. And it's really up to you. Like,
right. And you can just do, I mean, you are going to have people who are in dire states of health, for sure. I mean, if you look at like Dean Ornish and those guys, they're hardcore. Esselstyn and, they're hardcore. They're like, you listen to what I say or you can, go jump the ship.
Right.
But they've saved lives. They've saved so many lives. And, but for, I think most people, and they can do it right now, is just one thing a day. Just do one thing a day. And even if that's just a thought, like thoughts have charges. So whether it's your food, whether it's your negative thinking patterns, whether it's like you're so hardcore defined by who you think you are, your role in this world, start taking a look at that stuff. Like, what is tethering you down?
Yeah, the balloon.
Yeah, like what is it?
So
and you can just start looking at that. But I love what you said is like, I always say, like, you can deal with it in this lifetime or another. I mean, because we're all going we're all going to end up at the same end point.
Right.
And it's taken me thousands and thousands of lifetimes to get here. I know that. But you can just start with one thing a day, and that might just be nullifying a negative thought by thinking the opposite of what you just thought.
Right.
Like it's that easy, but it requires a lot of discipline, I think, especially when you start dealing with the mind. But this is what I love so much about yoga, is that it starts to spark the inquiry within us. And I didn't become plant-based because I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat this anymore. I was natural born vegetarian. Like, even as a kid, just never made sense to me why we would eat an egg that was supposed to be something else. That never made sense to me. So I'm really grateful that I brought that into this life. But cheese was another story. Loved it. Ate so much of it. Probably had high cholesterol because of it. And but what happened was I just started the inquiry, like, because I knew it was too much. I knew it wasn't heart healthy fats. Like, I knew, and I was quote unquote a healthy person. So I wanted to start looking at it, and I just was like, well, what if I got the salad without goat cheese? And then there was that voice in like my head that was like, it's gonna suck. That's what it's gonna do. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
But awful. I ate it and I survived. And then I questioned it at the next meal, and I questioned it at the next meal, and then as I went more into this lifestyle and listened to more and educated myself, then I knew too much. The veil was lifted, and that was it. I was done. But at that point, I had lost my taste for it, because I realized that I was actually tasting my food, that it wasn't masked with all this melted cheese on top anymore.
Right, or like the ketchup or the mustard or the condiments, where you're just like...
Where now, like, if I see like a cheesy burger, oh my God, I see a cheesy burger, it's like mucus secretion is what it is. And so that to me doesn't sound appetizing.
When you're thinking about it like that, it's like, ooh.
I know. And that was really, I think it was Gene Bauer. I was listening to a podcast with him from Farm Sanctuary. And this was it for me. This was the nail in the coffin. He said, we are the only species to drink another species' secretion. And I was like, all right, I'm good. Like, I'm done. Waving the white flag. Like, I'm good. First of all, that word secretion is so nasty. It's right up there with like moist and other things like that. And so I was done. Like, that was all I needed. And I was somebody who never thought that. I mean, I ate cheese with every single meal. And sometimes that was the meal. Yeah. I loved it. And so it's just starting to look at, I mean, this is what yoga requires really to be in the practice, is to start to watch and to look at your behaviors, and especially the automatic ones. And so getting back to the sitting meditation, there's no better way to see yourself than just sitting still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just opens it all up. And I've been working with this, actually, you touched upon it, I believe, in the first podcast about mastery. And mastery and meditation is basically like Well, so you get to you decide to sit. Like, to say we're starting square one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna sit and meditate and see what happens. And I think you kind of realize, okay, wait, there's these thoughts that are going around, and then I was like, well, these thoughts are really interesting. Like, I thought that those thoughts were me, and then I came to a point where I was like, wait, no, there's another there's something else in here that can observe all the thoughts going around.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge, like,
that was huge.
Boom, like, I was like, oh my God. Like,
there's two.
So then I like worked with that for a little while. But what I found, what was holding me up was I'd be this observer and I'd see all these thoughts, but I was still giving some thoughts more, I would say like these X, Y, and Z thoughts are good thoughts. And then these other X, Y, Z set of thoughts are bad. So I would be like, I want the good ones.
Right.
Like these are the good ones. Like when they come around, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, well, yeah, good. And then the bad ones come, and I'm like, I don't want them. Like, get away. Like this is like the devil. Like,
right. So there's like the classic human attachment and aversion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then to get back to the idea of mastery, the mastery is when you realize that no matter the thoughts are just thoughts. It's just, they're neutral. Even if it's something you want, which is like so hard to like let go of this idea, is like, even the thoughts that you want are like, if you're attached to them, you're still going to suffer. Like the bad thoughts, and you try and push the bad thoughts away, and then you're right back where you started. It's like, no, each thought comes up, and the energy of the thought is just energy of a thought.
Right, until you put some kind of meaning to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was teaching in class like a few days ago, and in yoga we always talk about how sensation is neutral. So you're in like a warrior two pose, and you're holding it for God knows how long. Philip is like so good at that. Like, you're just like,
yeah, he's so good at that, just making us hang out there. But I think that that's ultimate training for an athlete right there, is to just sit in sensation and and be neutral. Right,
and just be neutral. Like, this is my body doing what I asked it to do. It's like my muscles are working, like blood's flowing, and all this crazy stuff's happening, but it's neutral. But then I think the next step is to realize, hey, all my thoughts are neutral too. It's like that thought that the bad thought, maybe it's a doubting thought, like you're in a workout and you're like, I can't finish this workout today, or what I always do. Again, you guys are talking about this in the pool. It's like, I don't know why it's the pool, but you get in the pool and you have like your set of like, I'm going to do this many hundreds, I'm going to do these 50s, I'll do a 500 and whatever. And then I'm swimming. I'm like, let's just like cut off 500 yards today. Just like, I don't really think I need to do that. Like, it's okay. Yeah. And then there's just games going on, and it's like, but then I like don't want that thought in my head. Like, stop it. Like, I'm trying to do a workout and all this stuff's going on.
It's just constantly riding that edge of like self-care and self-sabotage, like, caring for yourself in a way of, if you do have athletic aspirations, caring for yourself in a way where you're going for those, or that self-sabotage that comes in, and it's all the ego. It's all the ego, because it wants to keep you in that state of conflict. And so just riding the neutral line between all of it, and again, decelerating into the stroke that you're in the breath that you're in.
Yeah, right? If you're sitting down in a meditation, sitting right here in your breath. And it's just
God, I love the way I used to describe meditation, or the way I used to sell it to myself, was I get up every morning and sit quietly for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, wherever I started. I think, like, that's not so bad. I get to get up, and before I start my crazy full day, I get to just sit quietly and comfortable with nobody bothering me. That's kind of that's how I would set. That was my salesman voice to me, and that's what got me to sit every day. I think we should wrap it up. I hear BJ making pizza for us out there. We're gonna have. I think we're gonna whip up. I'm gonna make some walnut pesto, And we got some sun-dried tomatoes, big old pile of spinach on there, and some tempeh. Put a little pesto on that.
Sounds
cook it up.
delicious.
Does that sound good? It's kind of like when you do the evening podcast, you end up staying for dinner.
Yeah, it's a nice perk.
So I've got one closing question for you before we go. It's just coming to me now. But let's say you are Dr. Buell right now, right? You're in practice, and you could just give whatever advice to, one of your patients that comes in with the chronic American chart, basically that health chart of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, on the verge of heart disease, if not already. And they're saying, what can I do? Like they're there for your help. Like, and you're educated in pharmaceuticals, you're educated in yoga, you're educated in meditation. Like, what are you going to say to them? Like, what is the one thing that somebody could do to change their health today?
That's a good question. Well, what was coming to me was, which actually might be a little bit different, but I would sit down with someone and say, what do you want?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Because there's the motivator. Like, what's your motivation?
You need, in any of these endeavors, whether it be athletics, whether it be, I want to explore plant-based nutrition, I want to meditate, I want to edit anything, any goal, anything. Motivation is so key. It's like,
I don't want to be in pain anymore.
Right. So, okay, you and like, if it's something like that, like I don't want to be in pain, or I want to get healthy, and that's like really what I want. I would set that stage and say, if that motivation is there, here's what you can do right here, right now. You can start eating more plants. Like, I think that the mountain of evidence, scientific evidence, is just huge. The amount of stories like where people are taking these steps and then their chronic diseases are going away. There's just so many of those stories, and it's there. It's all possible. It's just a matter of, are you willing? Are you willing to take the steps necessary? And if you are, I'm here. Like, I'm an open book. I'll give you everything. I'll support you. And like, this is especially it's through my own experience. Like, I've done all these things that I want to.
So it would be kind of a combination of things. Like, if somebody said, I'm willing, like, I'm open. So you feel like it's kind of like that buffet of. It's a buffet.
I definitely think it's a buffet. I think it's, the eating, the meditation, the eating and meditation are two like so important things.
Those are the biggies. Because it's like, what vibration are you putting in your body?
Right.
And that's really going to help with the meditation.
Yeah. For me, yeah. And I guess if I really had to like give you like a 1-2, I think that meditation first. It's just like a way for you to be here right now, feeling your body, like noticing your thought patterns, and then from there, like,
anything's possible.
Literally, it's like the only person or the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. 100%. It's like, that's it. The world, it's like we have no idea what's gonna happen if you're willing to take that step into the unknown. It's like, we don't know what's gonna come today, but I can be open to it, and then just let the world wow me. Like, let when you're on your trip, like, you have no idea what you're going to experience, but damn, if you're open to it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's going to be pretty amazing, the connections that we're going to make. And we're going to be bringing it all through this podcast. And
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I think that's a good place to end. Yeah. So I was excited to hear that your decision is to go to medical school, because I just think that you are going to be so amazing in this world. I mean, you already are, and just to bring it through that platform is going to be so powerful. So thank you for the 7+ year sacrifice you're going to make for everyone.
It's not. Right? It's not going to be a sacrifice. I'm going to love it. So
awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming here tonight, and we're going to serve you up some pie.
I'm ready.
Signing off. All right, do you love Alex as much as we do? Can you feel his sweet and super powerful energy? We've been in touch with him recently since beginning med school, and that resistance he predicted is the resistance he is getting. But he's seeing more than ever the incredible opportunity that not only he will have, but the opportunity that he's going to be bringing to the future of medicine. We'll be following him closely and rooting him every step of the way. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for sharing the podcast. We're 9 weeks into our Ride the High Vibe tour, and we have some incredible guests lined up and already in the queue to share with you. Please consider lending your experience to the iTunes world by leaving a review. Get in the running to win the most comfortable pair of recovery sandals ever known to man. And always, always, always ride the high vibe.